just twos. Okay, so we want to add these two things together. But right now, they're not alike. 8 and 50 aren't the same house. In fact, it's kind of like trying to add 4x plus 3y. They're not like terms, so you can't put them together. We would like to put them together, though. We would like for somehow it to be like 4x and 3x, so we could put them together and get 7x. That would be nice. So we're going to see if we can simplify 8, and if we can simplify 50. And maybe they'll end up having the same number under the radical, so we can actually combine our like terms, the way we could actually add 4x and 3x and get 7x. Okay, so if we're going to break down 8, what times what is 8? And I need one of them to be a perfect square. And you can have your point 4 and 2. So what comes out of the house? A 2 comes out of the house. So I've got 8 square roots of 2. Perfect. If you can break down the 50 for me, I'll give you 2 points. Say what now? It is 25 and 2, so what comes out of the house? Okay, and then so what's my final answer?
15.
Okay, so I'm going to give Arturo, Kelsey, and Don Terrence this group a point. Okay, did I get my wish here at the end? I did, because I've got this square root of 2, and I've got something with a square root of 2. So they actually are like terms, so I'm going to add them together, and when I add them together, I will get, yes, so literally that's our answer, 23 square roots of 2. Awesome. Let's see if we can do the exact same thing on number 2. I need 2 things that multiply 98. First, you need another copy of these. It'd be in the 1, because yesterday was March 1st, so it'd be in the 1. What times what is 98? 49 and 2, and Eduardo's group gets a point. So that means I have 7 square roots of 2, because the square root of 49 is 7. Someone else deal with that 32. What times what is 32? 16 and 2, and Hunter's group gets a point, so what used to come out? Yes, it's a 4. Tyreek gets a point. I mean, Don Harris gets a point, and then Arturo's right. He went ahead and combined it and said it was 8. I wish he just, yes, so I wish he'd just gone ahead and told me that the answer was 15 square roots of 2. Yeah, perfect. And of course, we could make our life more complicated and not just have 2 terms. We could have a problem like number 3 with 3 terms. So we got to break down the 12. 12's easy. Even if it's got subtraction, it's still going to be, as long as they've got, you know, if you do 4x minus 3x, you still just get x. It's still just combining like terms. We just need like terms first. But that's a good question. I know Will asked it and he can have a point, and someone else asked it, but I think it was Eduardo. So I think I have to give him the same group a point. Okay, what times what is 12? No, you know I don't want 6 and 2. You know I want 4 and 3. Because 4 is perfect square. So I've got, yes. Perfect. And now someone else deal with that 27. Archer, get a point. 9 and 3. And then what happens? Yes. And then what happens? And so far is looking so good. And now we've got to deal with that 128. What times what is 128? And we're hoping one of the numbers is what? We see a pattern going on down here at the end. We're kind of hoping that this one's going to have a 3 because the other two have a 3. So I need 128 divided by 3. 64. Notice how life made that work out perfectly. Go ahead and finish it, Don Harris. What's the square root of 64? 8. Okay, and then if we keep going, so I'm going to add 10 plus 6 and then subtract 8. So what should my final answer be? Yes, and then our cheers group gets a point because it's 16. 10 plus 6 is 16. Minus 8 would give us 8, so 8 square roots of 3. So that's why I thought we'd do adding and subtracting first, because that's actually a lot of fun. I really enjoy that. Multiplying is not so bad. I really like 1 and 2. I don't really like 3 and 4. Any guesses on what we're going to have to do on 3 and 4? If you said FOIL, you can have a point. And as I learned from your last test, there is at least still one person in the room who cannot FOIL. So, heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Okay, but the multiplying is going to be easy. We're literally going to multiply the people on the outside together. So 6 times 4 and get 24. And then we're going to multiply the people under the radical together. So we're going to do 8 times 2 and get 16. Yep. C to the third times C, and we'll get C to the fourth, because when we multiply, we add our exponents. D to the fifth and D to the third, that's going to give me D to the eighth. Because 5 plus 3 is 8. Okay, but you and I both know we can reduce this. 24 is fine, but what is the square root of 16? Okay, and then it should be C to the what? And then D to the... Okay, and so my final answer is... And you can have your point, ma'am. Now that one was a bunch of fun, and the next one looks like it might be less fun because the index has changed. We've got a tiny index of a 4. Some people yesterday on their checkpoints, they had all the right answers, but they delete the index when they come show me their answer. Your answer is not technically right if you deleted the index. Because if the index was 4, and you're not writing 1, it's an understood 2, so you've changed the entire problem. Okay, so we've got 2 times 3, we'll get 6. The fourth root of, what should I have under that radical? Literally still multiplying. It's still 16, and then x to the, and then y to the, okay, I know I heard 1 and 3, so you can have a point. Okay, and now we've got to deal with that index of a 4. So the 6 is fine on the outside. Do I know the fourth root of 16? It is 2. Hunter said it with a question mark, but he is correct. It is 2. It wasn't you. It was Will. Good. He can have a point then. Better. Even better. And then x to the, no. X to the second. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then y to the, and so I'm not going to write 1 because we understand that. So my answer is 12x squared y. So we did need what we did yesterday in order to figure out the entire answer. Are there any questions on 1 or 2? Now 3 and 4 are not as fun. Again, foiling sometimes is a pain in the rear, especially when we have to. So we're multiplying. We've got to multiply 4 times. So first, this times this. I'm going to have 6 times 2, that's 12. 3 times 5, that's square root of 15. That's my first. And then for my outer, 6 times 4, I've got a 24. 3 times 2, I've got a 6. And then for my inner, negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. This one doesn't have a radical, but this one it does. I can't just drop it. It's got to stay. So again, the inner one's the hardest. Negative 5 times 2, get negative 10. This one still has a radical of square root of 5, so we've got to keep it. And then last, negative 5 times 4 square roots of 2, we'll get negative 20 square roots of 2. So life's not looking too good right now because we can't combine any of these. Can we break 15 down into any perfect squares? No, because it's 3 and 5. It's not going to work. Can we break 6 down into any perfect squares? No, because it's 2 and 3. And then 5 and 2 we can't break down either, so literally that's our final answer. That is as good as we can get. Throwing it, foiling. You see. So automatically you're thinking with foiling you're never going to get to simplify, and that's not true. So I can already tell number 4 we're going to get to simplify because of one of the square roots in the problem. So look at number 4. Let me zoom out so people can see through it. Yeah. Look at number 4. Which of these radicals kind of tells me already I'm going to get to simplify at the end? Yeah, the 12. I could definitely, if I wanted to, if I realized that beforehand, I could simplify before I start foiling. You could go ahead and make it 6 square roots of 3 and then foil. But you don't have to. So let's foil this as it is. So first, what would I get when I foil with my first term? Yes, and you can have your point. And then what will I get for my outer? Okay, and then someone other than that voice that I keep hearing, I believe, Hunter. The inner is perfect, and then a voice other than Hunter and Will for that last. Okay. Are there any questions about our foiling on number 4? Let me see if I can zoom in a little further. So side day on this one, we can actually simplify, which sounds lovely. 9 and 30. So I know the square root of 36. What's the square root of 36? Yeah, so she's right. Let's go ahead and do that one. So, and you can have your point, Natalie. So this one's 9 times 6. So I already know in the end it's going to be a minus 54. And let's just keep going backwards. Can we simplify that 18 any? 18 is what times what? 9 and 2. So when I pull it out, it's going to be a 3. So it's going to end up being a 36 square roots of 2. Okay, well, so far those two can't combine, so maybe we'll find someone who can there. Okay, 24 is what times what? 6 and 4 would work. Yeah, but neither of those are perfect squares. You've got to have a perfect square. It's got to be the 4 and 6. I know the square root of 4, it's 2. 21 times 2 is, and I'm dropping my minus sign. I need to get unlazy. Thank you. 42 square roots of 6. So again, I'm still sad. None of these are combining. Yes, we're simplifying, but none of these are combining. Maybe this one will give us someone who can combine. Okay, 28, and then I need to break down that 12 into 3 and 4. I know the square root of 4 is 2, so it's 28 times 2 square roots of 3. It's not looking good. What's 28 times 2? So I've got 56 square roots of 3. So side day, at the end of it all, we broke them down, and each of them broke down, but I have a square root of 3, a square root of 6, a square root of 2, and somebody who doesn't even have a square root, so no, they can't combine. But there is potential, and we can see it. There's potential that when you do simplify, 2 of them might combine at least. Okay, so we added, that was fun. Subtracting, no big deal. Multiplying is great until you get to foiling, because now you have to potentially break down 4 different terms. And last but not least, good old dividing. Good old dividing. How I love to divide. Yeah, I heard you, Brister. Yes, dear. Yeah, we're keeping 3 how it is. So what we're going to do is we actually need to flip back over and look at the ones we skipped on the front side. We're actually going to keep it simple. You know, life was supposed to be easier, let's rephrase. Life was supposed to be easier for you at some point than it is for someone in a pre-AP class, and this is the one time where life is a little bit easier for you because we're not going to make you do the super challenging ones. But when we divide, we have to rationalize the denominator, which we've actually discussed before, but it's been a while and people tend to forget. So if we want to rationalize the denominator, we can't have a square root in the bottom. We can't. So the way to not, so we have to rationalize because no square roots and no houses in denominators. Thank you, dear. You can have a point for noticing. I appreciate that. So we literally can't have a square root in the denominator. That's a problem for us. So if our problem has a square root in the denominator, we have to fix it. And the way to fix it is to rationalize it, which means we multiply the top and the bottom by our problem. So number one, our problem is the square root of 6. So we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 6. So in the top, 2 times 6, I'm going to end up with square root of 12. But in the bottom, I'm going to end up with the square root of 36 because 6 times 6 is 36. What is the square root of 36? So notice that my final answer does not have a house in the denominator. Yet if your answer has a house in the denominator, you've done something wrong. That was our whole point, was to get the radical out of the denominator. Okay, but we can also simplify square root of 12. What times what's 12? Oh, I heard a 2 and 6. Stop saying 2 and 6. You know you want 4 and 3. Okay, and so you know if it's 4 and 3, you already know your final answer is going to be 2 square roots of 3 over 6. And that's not even my final answer, is it? No, because sadly that can simplify further. It's going to be square root of 3 over 3. And if you, so 2 goes into 6 3 times. So yes, I heard, if you said 1 square root of 3 over 3, I heard you and you can have your point. But you and I both know we're not going to put that 1. It's understood to be there. So it's more mathematically pretty if you just leave it like that. If Addison can get to here, she gets most of her points in life. She gets 100% of her points if she can just simplify a fraction. Okay. Let's look at, we'll do number 2. Okay, so number 2, I'm going to break it up. I'm going to give n to the third his own house, and I'm going to give 8 his own house. Now, Natalie has some options from here. She knows that square root of 8 can't be in the denominator, so she can multiply the top and the bottom by square root of 8. Or Natalie could go ahead and simplify, and Miss Brister said no. Okay, well, Miss Brister said no, so we're not going to. You know what? There's an 8 in the bottom. He's our problem. Let's get rid of him. Let's get rid of him. Okay, so if we do number 2 Miss Brister's way, which I like, sounds good to me, we're going to have n to the third times 8, so 8 n to the third in the numerator. 8 times 8 is 64, so square root of 64 in the denominator. Good thing is I know the square root of 64. Square root of 64 is 8. Now, if only I could break down that square root of 8 into the third. What can I do with the 8 into the third? Okay, I can do 4 times 2. Okay, so our Chiro's almost there. He's got the 2 square root of 2 into the third, but why he's avoiding that into the third when he knows what to do with it, I don't know why he's avoiding it. Yeah, so we literally could have done this in a couple less steps because our Chiro knew that, and I heard 2 can have a point, and I heard 3 discussing it, so they can have a point as well because they were wanting it to happen sooner too. We could have done this in less steps. It can. Bless you, Arturo. Have an extra point. 2 and 8 are divisible. So it could be n square roots of 2n over 4. Bless you, Arturo. Miss Compton didn't even notice. Okay, so we could keep practicing ones like that, and they're really not that bad. Moral of the story is Mia's going to multiply by whatever in the denominator. She's going to multiply it in the numerator and the denominator, and that's called rationalizing. She's actually done that before. So let's do number 3, and then we'll call it on that. Let's do number 3 in the guided practice. So I'm going to multiply by square root of 8, because square root of 8 is what's bothering me. I'm going to have square root of 40x over square root of 64. But hey, I know the square root of 64 is 8. How can I break down that 40x? Can I break down that 40x? 20 is not a perfect square though. I need a perfect square. Yes, and you can have a point. 4 times 10. So it's going to be 2 square roots of 10x over 8, because I know the square root of 4 is 2. And then I'm still not done. Someone tell me my final answer. I heard the 1 over. Leave off the 1 for me, but yeah. Over 8? Over 4. Every group can have a point. Okay. Now flip to the back and we'll talk about how nice Miss Compton is. She already knows. We're not going to have to do, you've had to before, you just don't remember. We're not going to do any problems that have addition or subtraction in the denominator. Our denominators are going to have one number only, like just the square root of 3 or just the square root of 2. These problems that have both and you have to multiply by the conjugate, yeah, taking it back. Yeah, the ones that have both, we're actually going to skip in regular algebra 2 trick, we agree. So if you want to know how to do those, I can tell you, otherwise we're going to let it go. If you didn't finish your checkpoint yesterday, you've got, let's see, it's 8:58, you got till 9:04. Otherwise, you do have a tiny bit of homework, but hopefully you're so fast you'll get it done that fast. Mia, hand this out. It's another checkpoint. I don't care if you work with your group. It really would be smart to practice on your own. You're going to have a test next week. Oh, before I forget, math workshop test on Monday. It's mostly on simplifying square roots and on factoring. Just be ready. It's really fast, really easy. Should be a nice, good grade. Study your math workshops. Okay, that's all. Your whole group got points to say, didn't you know?
I wasn't here. I checked out.
Oh, I gave your whole group points.
Oh, okay.